Hello, hello, hello. Happy Tuesday and Cinco de Mayo to everyone. It's now 7 p.m. So let's give everyone a moment to get acclimated. But hello, what a week, what a time. But thank you for joining us. If you're there, let us know you are there. Let me know that the camera and the sound are working. And let's have some fun tonight. Let's try some bubbles, because who doesn't like sparkling wine? So let's give it about another minute. But welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you for joining us. I hope you have your favorite Keswick wine, and if not Keswick, Virginian, and hopefully a sparkling wine, because that's what we are focusing on tonight. And we're focusing on the Amelie, the sparkling Viognier. So let's see. Lindsay Madeline, tie instead of beanie. Yes, I had a lot of comments about my beanie, and I was told quite kindly that I should maybe get dressed up. So I thought, you know what, I'm just going to wear what I wore at work. And yeah, so welcome, welcome, welcome to Lynn Pantos. Good evening. Kurt Jensen, everything good? I appreciate it. Lovely to see you. Anna Nicole, excited for tonight's tasting, as are we. Thank you for joining us. Marianne Clemente up in Michigan. Hi, Marianne and Drennan. Lots of love from Virginia. Hope you guys are doing well. Let's see who else is there so far. Susan Glenn, good evening. And James Belitho, Susan Crandall. What a wonderful lineup of people. So, yeah, let's give it a few more seconds, and we're going to chat some sparkling wine. So make yourselves at home. Grab your glasses, and we're going to talk everything sparkling in just 2 seconds. Lanny White, good evening, my friend, and to all friends, good evening to you, sir. Trish Seinwell, hello, Stephen. Good evening to you, Trish and Jeff. Love you guys. Hope you're doing well. Michelle, hello from Ohio. OH. Lovely to have you. Marsha and Dennis Sugamelli, Laura Brown. Thank you so much for joining us. Aaron and Darcy, Colleen Knight, Jess Nelson. Oh my word, we are joined by some wonderful people. Let me see. Marine Hamilton Scott, good evening to you. Kimberly Ankle, I hope I have that pronounced right. Kathy Clifton, hello my dear. Lovely to see you. Jess Nelson. Oh, so excited to join from New York City. Hope you're doing well, Jess. Lots of love to you and your family. Thank you for joining us. So 7:02, I think that's plenty time. So as we talk about wine, we want to keep things in perspective. And firstly, again, from our family, mine personally, Aria and Kathy, and our Keswick family, we want to wish everyone, hope everyone is safe. Hope you've had a wonderful, wonderful weekend and a week ahead. Happy Cinco de Mayo. You know, we're coming up on Mother's Day, so shout out to your moms, to mine. I've got 3. So to Val, to Cindy, and my mom Annette in South Africa. We love you. We appreciate you. It doesn't take a day to remind us how important you are to us. But I hope you guys are safe. You know, we're getting to the point where I think, you know, there's a light at the end of the tunnel, and we're so excited about the possibility of welcoming you back to the winery. But we want to do so when it's safe and it's sound. So hang in there. Again, thank you for joining us tonight. We know you have so much going on, and there's so many other kind of virtual tastings that you could listen to. So appreciate the fact that you're with us tonight. Let me see. Other thing is, if you have questions, please shoot them our way about anything. We want to answer them. We want to have some fun. We want to learn something, and we want to get you excited about this wine and other wines. I have my wife here, so we will answer as many questions as possible. But just a couple of shout outs. Firstly, to Aaron, Darnie Mathis, Dennis and Marsha Sugamelli, Parker and Madeline, happy anniversary. I know it's your 2nd wedding anniversary. Years to many more. And how apropos that we're drinking sparkling wine. So we're going to have a glass in your name. And then Steve, Dennis's son in Long Island, if you're on, happy to have you. Hope everyone's doing well. And then on a personal note, I'd like to say hi to Kerry and Regina. Love you guys, thinking about you guys. And to Rich and Katie Stover, dear friends of ours and of the winery. we want to send a special shout out to as well. So let's see who else is on. Sarah Crown, wouldn't miss a sparkling tasting. Didn't think you would. Welcome, Sarah. Lauren Santana, a wonderful teacher. I think we're realizing how important teachers are. Thank you, Lauren, for everything you do and for joining us. Terry Hauser, hello to you and cheers. So welcome, everybody. Let's have some fun. Let's talk about wine. Let's forget about the world for just 30 or 45 minutes. Thank you for sticking with us. Let's talk about sparkling wine and what sparkling wine means, the ways in which we make it, how we can enjoy it, and then at the end, as always, we're going to tell you how you can get some of your favorite Keswick wines and some of the wonderful bundles and the opportunities you can get to get wines shipped to your door. So when we talk about sparkling wine, we're talking about wine with bubbles, with significant levels of carbon dioxide. Now, if you made a still wine and you didn't filter it and it had some yeast and sugar in it and it re-fermented in the bottle, yes, you would say that is a wine that has some carbonation or fizziness to it. But when we're talking about sparkling wine, we're talking about wines that have a significant amount of carbon dioxide trapped within the bottle. Now, we're going to talk about the various types of sparkling wine, namely champagne, and why it's called champagne, where it comes from. And then we're going to drink some, which at the end of the day is why we're here for. So you can see there's the bottle we're trying tonight. It's the Amelie. It's the 2018 Sparkling Viognier. It, as of yet, is unopened. I'll tell you why we do that. I have our glasses. I'm choosing to use the very traditional flute. If you don't have flutes, just pour it in a glass. It's no problem whatsoever. But we're going to talk about the flute and the shape and how that works. And then we're going to answer your questions. So, hey, let's have some fun. Let's answer some questions and let's get right into it. So thank you for joining us. We really appreciate it. So if a sparkling wine is called champagne, right? And everyone knows champagne. It can only be called champagne if it comes from that area in France, specifically around the Rhône and the Epernay region as well. So wines in the world are made in the same method, the traditional method of making champagne, but you can't call it champagne unless it comes from that region. Now, when we talk about champagne or sparkling wine, we're normally dealing with mostly white wine or rosé. But you do get red versions of sparkling wines. If you think of Australian Shiraz, I've had them. I don't know what to think about them. Do you love them? First question of the day. Let me know. Italian Braccetto or Lambrusca. Those are sparkling wines made from red grapes. But when we're talking about champagne, the very traditional kind of sparkling wine, the wine of nobility and kings and queens and baseball players, when they win the pennant, they use that. But we're specifically talking about three varietals, mainly Chardonnay, Pinot Noir, and Pinot Meunier. Those are the three grapes. Now, there are also Pinot Blanc, Pinot Gris, Albain, and Petit Mencelier. And I might have pronounced that or butchered that. But there are other varietals that are used in sparkling wine production. Now, there are other regions, obviously, that make wine using the exact same methods. But in South Africa, it's called MCC, which is Method Cape Classique, the Cape Classic method of making wine. In Spain, it's Cava, Spumante in Italy, Cremant in Alsace, in Burgundy. But it all refers to a specific way of making it. But again, the name champagne has to be made from grapes and come from that specific region. Now, historically, there's a lot to talk about. Everyone knows Dom Perignon. But would you be surprised to know that he did not invent sparkling wine? The oldest recorded sparkling wine was in 1531, Blanquette de Limoux. And we're talking about when Romans were in the area, still wines were made. And I think part of the issue was they were trying to make wines like Burgundy, but the climate really didn't suit those kind of wines. These grapes were highly acidic, they were sort of underripe, and a lot of the times the wines were bottled without finishing fermentation. Now, everyone knows when fermentation occurs, and that's when sugar converts into ethanol, carbon dioxide is a byproduct of that fermentation. And if you trap it in a bottle, that's essentially how sparkling wine comes out. Initially, it was thought to be the devil's wine because a lot of those bottles, as they were sitting there, just sort of exploded. So in 1844, the Muselet was actually developed. And the Muselet, if you don't know, is the cage that actually keeps the cork in the bottle. So as we take the foil off, there's the Muselet, and that's the cage that keeps the cork in the bottle. And the reason for that is sparkling wines are bottled under fairly extreme pressures. We're looking at 6-7 bar, which really is about 60 to 90 pounds per square inch. All right. So when you take the Muselet off, they always say 7 turns should be enough. There we go. The cork cuts. The correct way of opening it, you can shake it and blast it out there. But at the end of the day, you want to hold the cork. You want to turn the bottle, not the cork, and gently release the wine. Well, that wasn't gentle, but you get the sort of thing. And in the glass it goes. So why a flute versus another glass? That would be the first question. So it's all about surface area, right? You want to minimize the sort of the loss of the bubbles, because at the end of the day, the sort of the charm and the beauty about sparkling wine is as the wine gets into the mouth, those sort of bubbles tickle your tongue. I mean, hell, who does not like bubbles in sparkling wines? So I've chosen the champagne flute. Riedel, again, is the glass. But at the end of the day, you can pour it in a white wine glass. You can pour it in a big glass. It doesn't matter. But the reason the flutes became so popular was because it minimized the surface area of the wine, and it's thought to sort of protect the carbonation. Now, when we talk about champagne, champagne is a protected term. You can't just label a wine champagne. It's protected by the 1891 Treaty of Madrid, and then it was reaffirmed by the Treaty of Versailles. In USA, or in America rather, that term is banned to go on labels unless you were grandfathered and had permission to label your wines sparkling wine in 2006. So as porters to Portugal, champagne is a protected term. So if you're buying champagne, you're buying it from Epernay and Rheims, the appellation thereof. So first and foremost, cheers guys, to your health, and ladies, to your health, to your safety. God bless you guys. We really appreciate it. So salute. So even the term method champenois is outlawed and it's forbidden, and that was a ruling in court in 1994. So again, there are very strict laws and regulations of how you can label the wine. That's not to say you cannot make the wine in the exact same way as they do in France, and that's the method champenois. Now, what exactly is method champenois? How do you make sparkling wine, and how do you trap these gorgeous little bubbles of CO2 in the bottle? Well, let me tell you. So firstly, when you're harvesting grapes destined for sparkling wine, you're picking them low sugars, high acid. I just saw Annette Boyd jump on. Annette Boyd, hello to you and your family, Virginia Wine Marketing Office. So lovely to see you. God bless you guys. Hope you're doing well. To Val, my mother-in-law, happy Mother's Day on Sunday. Cindy as well, and my mom, thank you for being here. So when you pick the grapes, you're picking them really low sugars. You're picking them at extremely high acid levels. And what you're about to do is to ferment that juice and make what we call a base wine. It's going to have low alcohol. It's going to have really, really high acidity. And then you're going to transfer that base wine into these bottles. Now, these bottles are thick. They're heavy. This is like a self-defense weapon. It is heavy and thick to withstand the pressures of the wine. The base wine goes into the bottle. We add some yeast. We add some sugar. And as occurs, the yeast consumes the sugar. It produces additionally more alcohol. And as a byproduct, carbon dioxide gets released. But there's a cap on top, so the CO2 cannot go anywhere, and it gets trapped in that bottle. Those bottles are on their side. And then as the fermentation finishes, the yeast dies, and the yeast is in the bottle. And then you have to do something called roumage. In English, that's riddling. There are actually people called riddlers. And what they do is these bottles are put in sort of pyramidal kind of shaped structures called puppies. And those bottles, I don't have a cork in, but they get turned a quarter an inch and the bottle gets pushed forward just a little bit. And then a quarter inch and the bottle gets pushed forward. And what happens, that dead yeast moves down the bottle and it sort of collects in the neck. Barney Boomslang, that is my brother, Dr. Neil Barnard. Shout out to you, one of my big heroes. Incredible work you're doing in the UK and the NHS. Love you, miss you, love to the family, and happy birthday to Ria, buddy. Dr. Neil Barnard, everybody. So yeah, so we're kind of riddling and we're getting rid of that the lees. That lee settles. Now you got to get it out of the bottle, and that's the process called disgorgement. That bottle goes upside down into a brine solution. The neck freezes. That crown cap gets popped off, and that sort of plug shoots out. All right, and then you have your dosage where you top it off a little bit and you change your residual sugar, and then that bottle gets a cork. Now this cork is really, really interesting. You can't just shove a normal cork in there. This cork is about 5 times, or 50% rather, larger than the neck of the bottle, and it's normally consisting of 3 sort of sections, right? Interesting fact. But then how do you know how sweet or dry or semi-sweet your champagne is? It's going to say brut. It's going to say extra brut. If it says extra brut, it's below 6 grams per liter of sugar, which is 0.6%. Then you have brut, extra dry, sec, demi-sec, and doux. And doux is 50 grams per liter. That's rather sweet. Okay, so that is sparkling wine in the shortest kind of way possible. The amount of time it spends on the lees can give it complexity. You know, the vintage. You get vintage champagnes where there is a vintage on the label, and that just means the grapes used to make the wine come from that harvest year. A lot of times champagnes are a blend of multiple vintages, you know, to develop a sort of a house style. But they're incredible, incredible wines. You know, there's more than 1,000 champagne houses, and there's roughly about 32,000 hectares of grapes in France. But I think sparkling wine is an incredible wine, but yet it is seen as a special occasion wine. And let's throw that sort of thought out the window. Sparkling wine is an every occasion wine. It's to be celebrated, and what better day to celebrate than a day that ends in Y? Being able to get out of bed, being on this side of the earth with the bot. In today's world, we are so lucky. Sparkling wine should be drunk. They should be enjoyed, and they should be enjoyed with folks. So that is generally the process. Again, the flute, very thin. You can see the fine bubbles being trapped and kind of releasing up there. And that's just the joy visually, aesthetically, and sort of the romanticism about why these wines are so incredible. But again, you know, talking about it is one thing. You know, at the end of the day, we're here to taste, we're here to sniff, we're here to enjoy. So cheers, and let's give it a sniffy sniff. So again, give it a swirl. Big sort of inhale. What could you sort of get from sparkling wine? A lot of times I get a lot of apples and pie crust and pears, that sort of thing. Again, we made a sparkling wine out of Viognier, and Viognier has got a lot of sort of terpenes in it. And terpenes, you get a lot of sort of floral aromas. You get a lot of yellow fruits, you know, but let's sort of confirm. And again, the nose is so important because it's going to translate to the palate. Because your palate can only pick up sweet, sour, salt, bitter, fat, and umami. So again, don't just sort of take a quick sniff and throw it down your gut. Really close your eyes and stick your nose in it and let your mind wander. I mean, that's the beauty of wine. Wine is incredible in such a way that you can take a trip to a country through a glass of wine. You know, sparkling wine made in California is going to be different to France, to Australia. You know, if you've never been there, the one way you can go is by tasting a wine. So don't sort of, you know, give up on the nose quickly. So again, close your eyes. You get a lot of that sort of pie crust and baked apples and sort of green apples, those golden, you know, those Granny Smith. And again, the Granny Smith makes sense because the wine is made from malic acid. That's the dominant acid in grapes, other than tartaric. So malic, malum, Latin green apple, a lot of green apple flavors. But then again, let's taste it. Now, when you taste it, put the wine in your mouth, swirl it around like mouthwash, see where it sits, see what happens. There's a lot going on this. So, cheers, guys. What I love about sparkling wine is just how it wakes your palate up. You know, it's not acidic, it's not dry, it's just bubbly. It's like walking into a techno dance party. You open the doors and it's unch, unch. It just wakes your palate up. It's vibrant. It says I'm there. You know, that sort of carbonation is lovely. But once you get past that, there's some incredible, really nice fruit and bread and sort of doughy characters or characteristics that come from there as well. But it's your first taste, and you know the first taste is, hey, I like this wine. So let's confirm what we think. So again, the smell is turning a little bit more floral. It's turning, I get a lot of really nice apricot and peach, which makes sense because we're using Viognier. But again, the palate. It's got great acidity. So acidity you get up front, but it's got really, really nice length. And length can be defined as how the wine stays in the mouth once you've swallowed the wine. Again, you don't want a wine that tastes good and it just disappears. You know, the better wines are going to have some length, and they're going to change in the palate, and they're going to make you think. So let me know, if you're drinking this wine, what are you getting? What sort of flavors are you getting? Shoot me some questions and let me know what you're thinking. So a couple of things. What happens when you drink a half bottle of sparkling wine and you don't want to drink anymore? Doesn't really happen in this house, but you want to conserve. You ever heard of the myth, stick a spoon in the bottle and that's fine? They actually did some research and they found out that a spoon in a bottle of sparkling wine does really nothing. The best way to conserve a sparkling wine is to keep the wine incredibly cold, because carbon dioxide is more soluble, or most soluble, at lower temperatures than warmer temperatures. So actually, if you keep your wine incredibly cold, it's going to retain a lot of the natural sort of carbonation as well. One question we had as well is, how long can you age sparkling wines? And that's a great question. I think you've got to look at the vintage, the house, but I think non-vintage about 3 to 4 years. Vintage wines about 4 to 10. Again, when you age wine, you run the risk, you roll the dice, so to speak, right? Because at the end of the day, why would you age a wine? Because the experience of drinking a wine has to be positive. You have to get more enjoyment if you drank it at year 3 or 4 or 5 than you would do it at year 1. Otherwise, why would you age a wine? The other thing is you have to age it under conditions that allows that wine to age appropriately. Now, you've got to age a wine to see if you like old wines. But I would say 3 to 4 years for non-vintage, 4 to 10 for vintage wines. But I have had the opportunity to try 20, 25-year-old vintage champagnes that are quite interesting if you love truffles, if you love the sort of the mushrooms and sort of those Greek flavors. Again, for me, wine is, it has to be pleasurable. You know, it has to be sharing. It has to be emotional. But for us, wine has also got to be intellectual. You know, we have to learn about wine. We have to learn, you know, what we like. And at the end of the day, we always say, it's drink what you like, how you like, when you like. So don't be afraid to pop 1 or 2 bottles down and see what age does to a wine as well. Let's see, do we have any questions, my dear? Sure. Oh, we do. We have a few questions, so bear with me.
So Jeffrey Allison asks, he hears you say all the time that you grow your wine in the vineyard and do very little to make it in the winery. How do you apply this philosophy to making sparkling wine?
I've heard a lot of people say that because sparkling wine is picked green and you've still got to get ripe fruit, you've still got to get clean fruit, you've still got to manage it appropriately, and you've still got to pick it at those sort of parameters that allow you to make incredible sparkling wine. But what I do want to talk about, we've been speaking about champagne, but we want to talk about another way in which you can make sparkling wine, and that is forced carbonation. So we'll get there. But it's an incredible question. Again, the philosophy is the product that you deal with determines the quality of the wine. They are incredible winemakers. If they have access to poor fruit, they can do a lot. But if you have access to amazing fruit, you have the potential to make amazing wine. So let's not forget the vineyard. Hug a vineyard manager today, because it's those folks that give the winemakers the opportunity to make some incredible wine. But great question. Thank you so much for that. Really appreciate it.
Is it true that the size of the bubbles is an expression of quality? And if so, which is better, big or small?
I would say yes. I think the finer bubbles that come up over time with Method Champenois, that would indicate a way it's making. But this is force carbonated. And what I mean by that, let me explain what that means. There's a couple of ways you can introduce CO2 into a wine. So we're talking about the very traditional, kind of secondary fermentation in the bottle, but you can also do secondary fermentation in a tank, and that's the Chamotte method. And then you can do, the best way to explain it is you have a soda stream maker, you have a wine, and you kind of carbonate that tank. This is how this was made. So the bubbles are perhaps a little bigger, they come up a little bit quicker. Still a phenomenal wine. So maybe not a quality kind of thing, but it might sort of give you a clue of how the wine was made.
Why did you choose Viognier, Virginia Wine Time?
Virginia Wine Time. Paul and Warren. Hey guys, hope you're doing well. I think the honest answer to that question, why we chose Viognier, is because we have the most of it in 2000. Well, we have 16 acres planted on the property. We have very little Chard and we have very little Verdejo. The other thing, Viognier is normally a very low acid producing grape. And in 2018, which was a phenomenal growing season in Virginia, we managed to get fruit that was really underripe and highly acidic, and it just lent itself to making sparkling wines. So ordinarily, would we use Viognier? Perhaps not, unless we could adjust the acidity. So perhaps blend something like Petit Manseng into it. But in 18, as incredible as that vintage was and as underripe as that fruit as we managed to get, it just lent itself to making an incredible sparkling wine. And if you're drinking it, let me know what you think. Does Viognier work? I kind of like a lot of the floral and the perfumey characters that come from it. Less so the very doughy, bready, yeasty kind of characters you get a lot. You might get some pineapple, some dried yellow fruits, and I think that's really, 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 really cool. So thank you for the question. I hope you guys are doing well. Loved you guys up there. So
Virginia Wine Dogs asked, why are some of these sparkling wines non-vintage?
Non-vintage is just because we are blending, or people blend wines from various years. It allows you to create the house style. I think one of the problems or sort of the challenges of making wine anywhere is to replicate what you've done in the past. And we talk about vintage variation. How, as a consumer, you come in one year, say you came in 17, and you say, I love the Viognier from 17, right? That's great. We love it. You buy some, you go home, you're happy. You come back and you go, oh, I love that Viognier, but it's an 18 vintage. As producers, we know that 18 was challenging. We also know that the wine over-delivers in terms of quality for the vintage, but as a consumer, you go, this is different. This is not what I expected. It's not what I thought I would taste. So being able to blend multiple lots across vintages, you can create essentially a house wine or a consistent style, which really helps the marketing aspect of it. At the end of the day, look, we're silly bleeding romantics, right? We just want to make wine, and we kind of talk about vintage variation and expression of vintage. But as a consumer, you want consistency. You want to know that you're going to spend $20 or $30 on a wine, and you're going to taste what you expect and what you love from the previous wine. So I think that's the reason a lot of kind of lots are blended across vintage to create that consistent style, an incredibly consistent style from a consumerism point of view.
Sarah Cron asks, what's the oldest sparkling wine you personally have had?
Ooh, lordy. Sarah Cron, on the spot. It was back in South Africa, I believe, and I worked for a winery called Morgenhof, which was owned by the Cointreau-Houchon family, who owned Gosset Champagne. Can't remember. It must have been sort of 30 years, perhaps. I can't remember any sparkling wine older than that. It's not it's a wine that I enjoy, but it's not a wine that I can afford too much. So I don't drink a lot of sparkling wines, and I don't age them as perhaps I should. But I would say probably about 30 years. I can't remember, but drinking something older than that, to be honest. But if you have something older, I'd love to share it and sort of renew that kind of fact. So. The other thing is, we're talking about food and wine. At the end of the day, we drink wine, and you should be able to drink wine on its own. And I'm drinking and enjoying, so bottoms up. But sparkling wine pairs incredibly well with a variety of foods. And if you're a foodie and you want to know sort of the interaction chemistries between food and wine, the first thing, brie cheese. Sort of that creamy cheese. Buttercream sauces. I love buttercream sauces with sparkling wines. And then if you love seafood, shrimp, shellfish, very clean, vibrant sort of flavors. And then at the end of the day, let's be honest, sparkling wine and desserts. Sparkling wine, desserts. The other thing is fried mushrooms. If you've ever had a fried mushroom with sparkling wine, it's just heaven in a bottle. But at the end of the day, what you do is you take a glass, you take a ripe red strawberry, you pop it in there. The strawberry brings out the flavor of the wine. I mean, I'm just quoting Richard Gere from Pretty Woman. And have it like that. And everyone knows, we know you've been strawberry pricking of late. So if you've got lots of strawberries and you've done the family sort of activity with everyone and the kids, come home, open up a bottle of sparkling wine, pop a big red strawberry in there, and then just enjoy it. So, yeah. But as the wine sits, it is getting warmer. Everyone talks about sort of temperature of wine. And with sparkling wine, I really believe sparkling wine should be served cold. I'm talking 45 to 50 degrees cold. I know with reds, I always say we drink our reds too warm and our whites too cold. With sparkling wine, honestly, I think you've got to chill the sucker down. Ours was in the fridge and then in the freezer for 30 minutes prior to eating that. Not only is it going to sort of retain sort of the effervescence and the carbonation, I think sparkling wine that is incredibly cold is best served. Again, it's totally up to you. That is not a rule of thumb. That's not what you have to do. But in my humble opinion, sparkling wine incredibly cold is the way to go. Is the way to go. The other interesting part is how wine sort of changes in the glass. Initially I was like, there's a lot of apples and sort of pie crust, but I'm getting a lot of sort of citrusy kind of tones coming through, a lot of sort of melon and pear, which again sort of hints not only at the varietal, but maybe of the vintage. I was being facetious. 2018 wasn't an incredible vintage. It was an incredibly challenging vintage. Again, 90 inches of rain just really puts you behind the A-ball, or the 8-ball rather. We really had to sort of work hard to get ripe fruit, or clean fruit rather, and we were picking when we had to. Part of the reason why we thought Viognier would do incredibly well as a sparkling wine varietal, normally when you get sort of ripe vintages like 17, 19, 14, and 10, the sugars are high, the flavor development leads more to sort of tropical and fruit, which might not lend itself to sparkling wine production. Chardonnay is sort of the god of grapes when it comes to sparkling wine. Again, remember, Chardonnay, Pinot Noir, and Pinot Meunier are the three big sort of grapes in there as well. How are we doing? Any questions?
We're getting a lot of comments that this goes really well with fried chicken, specifically Dave Maddox's fried chicken.
Dave Maddox's fried chicken. I should start calling you the Colonel. I'd love to. Hey Dave, why don't you post your recipe online? Let everyone else kind of experience what you're experiencing. So I'm glad you're enjoying it. And yeah, fried chicken, maybe the batter. I don't know if you do it in buttercream or if you do it in, I'm not sure how you do it, but thank you so much. repeat the questions before answering them. My wife is just sort of... Sorry, I probably wasn't supposed to do that. But again, it was a comment from Dave Maddox and Susan Glenn. Dear friends of ours, thank you so much. Fried chicken and sparkling wine going really well tonight. Let's see.
Rick Fillmore is wondering if you would consider making a red sparkling wine.
Rick Fillmore, do we consider making a red sparkling? I got to tell you, I have not tasted a red sparkling wine that I've enjoyed. I know the Australians do it with Shiraz, and I really, really haven't enjoyed it. I think if we were, perhaps a Touriga sparkling wine would do well. I love how it's doing with rosé. You know, it produces very little sugar. It's got lovely acidity. I think a Touriga sparkling wine might be incredible. We're coming out with a Touriga rosé. We're bottling that May 29th. And perhaps, you know, the next step, logical step, is to do a Touriga sparkling wine. The other varietals we have on the property are all Bordeaux, Merlot, Petit Verdot, Cab Franc, Cab Sauv. Probably don't lend themselves to sparkling, but, you know, we're always looking to experiment. Part of what we do is, you know, we want to hone in on what we've done, but there's an artistic side that really wants to experiment and sort of create something and try something new. So perhaps a Touriga sparkling wine would be somewhere in the future. Lanny White, virtual hug. Big one back to you. Hope you and Suzanne and Aaron and the grandkids are doing well. We love you guys. Can't wait to see you guys again. Amy, tasted excellent with fish tacos. Again, seafood and sparkling wine goes incredibly well. Sort of very clean, vibrant flavors. Sort of juxtaposes the acidity on the white and the bright flavors of the wine. I think it would go incredibly pretty well. So, Annette Boyd, what did you use for dosage? Purely sugar. The residual sugar is, I believe, I don't have the tech notes in front of me, but I think it's 0.6%. So that would keep it at the 6 grams per liter, which would make this a brut. But it's just purely sugar. So again, Annette, thank you for everything you do as a marketing office. You know, kudos to how you've put Virginia, the industry, on the map. And God bless you and your family. Hope you're staying well and being safe. So come on, folks, tell me what you think. Again, Donna Goff said, as this warms up, I'm getting some peach, and I think that is accurate. Again, that Viognier character is coming through, and every time you talk Viognier, you talk peach, apricot, pineapple, dried fruits. Laura Brown, Viognier works so incredibly well. But I love this. I'm bummed that I shared one of my bottles with Kurt Jensen for tonight. You know what? That's what wine is about. You know, what would be more sort of devastating is if you drank it on its own. You know, be happy that you could share it with your dad, and glad that you did. There's always more, and I'll let you know in a few minutes how you can get some. But yeah, don't ever feel bad when you share a wonderful wine with a wonderful person, and no one more wonderful than your dad, okay? Let's see, Virginia White. Here's to the silly, bleeding romantics. Come on. You know, life has got to be more about the heart than the head, right? You know, we're people of passion and intrigue. So yeah, you know, sparkling wine just sort of buys into that. Wanted to talk about the label. The label. You know, if sparkling wine is a little bit scandalous and a little bit flirtatious and a little bit intriguing, you know, if you look at the label, we have a young lady that is quite scantily clad, and this is actually a picture of Amelie Reeves. Now, Amelie Reeves was born in Richmond in 1863, and she was the goddaughter of Robert E. Lee. I'm sure you know that name. Now, most of her early life was spent at Castle Hill, and if you know Keswick's property, Castle Hill is the property right across from us. They make incredible ciders, by the way. You got to check them out. But she was a novelist and an artist. She studied art in Paris. She wrote quite a few novels. But at World's End, I believe, sold 300,000 copies and was on New York's best-selling Times and The Quick and the Dead. Now, this was a self-portrait of herself that she drew when she was 27. Now, the Reeves family is well known within Keswick. They used to own what is now our property. Barclay Reeves was the gentleman that built the house, the manor house on the property in 1911. And we thought, you know what, let's sort of push the envelope a little bit. Why not? She was a little bit crazy. She was a little bit drug addicted. 4 months after being divorced, she got married to a Prussian prince. And so if anyone wants to know, Amelie Reeves, from Castle Hill, original owners, and tie into the Edgewood estate as well. So it's hard to hold a sparkling wine back for aging. I agree. I mean, it's just, they're lovely to drink. They're incredibly vibrant, and they're just fun. So, they're food friendly, they're vibrant, they're drinkable, they're utterly delicious, but they do age. So buy a few bottles, put a few down, and see what 5, 10, 15 years does to a wine. I think there's aromas and complexities that come from aging. So let's see what else. Adam Rock
Steinwell asks, are you thinking about trying to make one using the method Champenois?
Yes, Trish, thank you so much. The question is, are we thinking of making, excuse me one moment, are we thinking of making a sparkling wine using the method traditional, or the Champenois method? We are. It is something we've been wanting to do for a while, and we're in that process, and we would love to do it. It is in the works, and hopefully we can bring a method Champenois sparkling wine to you in the very near future. All right.
And how many bottles of this one did you make?
Oh, that's a good question. I actually do not know the answer to that. But if you go to our website, Keswick Vineyards, perhaps if you go to our website, keswickvineyards.com, and you click on the wine, you can access the technical notes. And in the technical notes, perhaps it would say, but I believe it was 200 odd cases. And again, that is just, kind of pulling from the memory bank, which is a bit spotty of late, but I think it was about 200 cases. It wasn't a huge sort of production level. But let's talk about some sort of exciting things you can get, some promos. And I know it's 7:42. My Lord, time flies when we're having fun. And let me say, I really enjoy this interaction. I know it's virtual. I would much rather be having this conversation with you across a table and drinking and sharing a glass of wine. But such is the circumstance. And again, we appreciate that you put any time aside to spend some time with me. But if you're in our wine club, you should have got an email with an invitation to join us on Zoom for a private chat about one of our favorite wines, and that's our Bordeaux Blend Heritage. So again, if you did not get that and you're in the wine club, email Sarah Cron, Keswick Vineyards, is it wineclub@keswickvineyards.com. Make sure you get the link. The more the merrier. We're going to talk about a single wine, and we're going to have some fun. This is the first of 4 wines. Next week, we're talking about one of my absolute favorite wines, and that's our V Squared. After that, we're talking about Touriga, and after that, we finish with just the big guy, and that's our 16 Cabernet. Didn't get the 4-pack? That's fine. Get the next 3. Don't like Verdeo and V Squared, although I don't know why you wouldn't. Get the Touriga and the Cabernet. So get onto our website. You can get the next 3 wines and join us as well. Mother's Day. Again, hey, listen, we appreciate our moms. We love our moms. Tough times. We all want to take her out of brunch, and we want to hang out, and we want to give them hugs. So why not send her a bottle of the sparkling wine, and along with sort of the chocolate sauce. That is a bundle for Mother's Day. Chocolate sauce you can use in so many different ways. Just simply on pound cake or ice cream. It's decadence in a bottle. So think of that. One last thing. We are delivering wines to neighborhoods. Check out the website, keswickvineyards.com, on how you can order wine and have us deliver it to your door. We're doing that. Neighborhoods, we deliver to Hollymead and to Spring Creek and to Charlottesville and to Ivy. Get on, order some wines, check out the delivery dates, and a smiling sort of server, one of our staff members, is going to bring that wines to you. Sarah Crown, would you ever consider a sparkling wine from Cabernet Franc? That's an interesting one. I love Cabernet Franc. I think the challenge would be, how do you get Cabernet Franc ripe, to minimize the sort of the methoxypyrazine character, sort of the bell pepper flavors, and then how do you then manage to make a sparkling wine with sort of vibrancy and acidity? But it would be interesting. Question: is anyone making a sparkling wine from Cabernet Franc? I don't know, but I love what Viognier possibly can do. I love the fruit aspect and the vibrancy and the floral and the perfume, and I love the acidity. So 2018, maybe we didn't make Viognier, but we made incredible sparkling wine. Hope you enjoyed it. Let's take one or two more questions, and then kind of finish off with the thought of the day. Do we have anything else? Let's see. A rosé sparkling. We have made rosé sparkling. We've made it from Norton, and Norton being Virginia's grape. If you think about the historical kind of significance, Norton and Virginia go together. So we've made an incredible Norton rosé. I love rosé sparkling wine. So we've made it. We didn't do this year in 19. We didn't, but maybe Touriga, maybe there's something there. So let us know that you want a sparkling rosé, and we'll see if we can oblige. But thank you for joining us this evening, and thank you for your question. Let me see. My word.
says it's a great sparkling wine for anniversary celebration. Thank you for making such a great wine, and an even better place to make memories with friends.
Very, very sweet. That's what it's all about. At the end of the day, wine brings people together. Wine creates memories. Memories live long in those that remember them. And at the end of the day, folks, this is what it's about. I mean, let's again put things into perspective. I know we're running a little bit over time. I don't want to bore everybody, but what this virus and these circumstances have done is hopefully kind of reaffirm or kind of make you remember what's important, and that's people. It's family, it's people, it's friends, it's those that you can count on. Because how do you when you can't, you take for granted that you can pick up or you can go visit someone, but you never do. You take for granted that you can just go to someone's house and give them a hug, but you never do because you can. Oh my God, how would we give anything to go and hug our moms and our dads and our brothers and our sisters and our cousins, our aunts and uncles? All we can do is sort of say we love you through a computer screen. Wine is incredible because it can facilitate that. Doesn't matter if you're Republican or Democratic, if you're from the North or the South, what language you speak, you can share a glass of wine, and for 10, 20, 30, 40 minutes, you can forget about the problems of the world and you can just enjoy wine. So let's kind of leave it there. Let's just say cheers. Cheers to everyone, to you, to our customers, to our wine club members, to our staff, to our ownership. We miss our staff. We want to welcome our incredible staff back. We miss our family. We miss hugging our family. And all we can do is say we love you. And again, wine at the end of the day is an insignificant part of the world's problems. But it's enjoyable. It's made with passion. It might bring you joy for a couple of minutes. And at the end of the day, isn't that what we need? Is just to put some time aside, enjoy a glass of wine, and we deserve to be happy, even if it's just for a short amount of time. So unless there's any other questions, Parker, again, happy second anniversary to you and Madeline. God bless you guys. Here's to many, many, many more years ahead. Suzanne Wine, thank you for supporting us. To Adam Rockhill, we want to welcome you to our winery in the very near future, but we appreciate you. Stephanie Maddox, you say you learned something from the virtual tastings. Thank you so much. That's very, very kind. Hopefully we see you next week. To Marianne Clemente, love to you and Drennan up in Michigan. Hope you guys are doing well. We love you. Kathy Harden, we'll see you on Thursday at the Heritage Private Tasting. It's a bit more interactive. To Rick Fillmore and Janine, you guys are amazing. We appreciate it. V Squared next week, Tuesday at 7. Love the V Squared. To Virginia Wine Dogs, to Terry, God, we appreciate everything you do. To Donna Goff, you got the 4-pack. Thank you so much for supporting us. I hope you kind of enjoy it. So excited about the V Squared. Check us out again on our Facebook. If you like these tastings, share it. Spread the word. Drink Virginia wine. Drink Virginia wine. Take advantage of the incredible bundles and deals on keswickvineyards.com. Let me see. I'm just talking because I don't want to miss anybody. I don't want to not reach out to someone. Susan Giddon, my Lord, thank you so much. We really appreciate it. Let me see. Let's take 1 or 2 more questions and then we'll sign off if there are.
I don't have any questions.
No.
Marsha had 16 people on her watch party from Puerto Rico to Maryland to Ohio.
Marsha had 16 people on her watch party. Puerto Rico to Maryland to Ohio. Marsha, we thank you. We love you. Thank you so much. And to all those folks in Maryland, in Ohio, in Puerto Rico, God bless you guys. Thank you for joining us. Catherine Smith says, does the 15 Vidal Nectar mix well with sparkling wine? I'm not sure, but why not give it a crack? And if you do, let us know if it does. I'd love to sort of that. Yeah.
I don't remember which ones they were.
Okay, Cass saying we used to do that in sparkling wine, so let us know. Virginia Wine Time. Cheers, guys. Appreciate you guys. Eileen Saver from Early Mountain Vineyards, an incredible person, wonderful woman, and from Early Mountain, which I adore. Thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it. Drew and Kevin out of Pennsylvania, cheers to you. Annette Boyd, cheers to you. God bless you. Really, really appreciate what you ever do. Jen Purcell, my Lord, I haven't seen you guys for a while. I miss you being late to our events, but sometime soon. I'm just delaying the inevitable because I really don't want to get off. Let's see. Diana Reagan, you're not boring. Well, I had about 5 glasses of wine before I came on, so I hope I'm not. But thank you. Linda Irvin, can't thank you enough for everything that you do. So Kerry Sewell and Regina, cheers to you guys. Love you. Thinking about you. God bless. All right. I don't know what else to say other than, be kind, be the best you can be, tell people you love them, live in the moment. And again, we're going to get through this and we're going to come out stronger and we're going to welcome you to our winery very, very soon. So for one last time, sparkling wine, Viognier 2018 Amelie. It's good. It's lovely. It's available online. Join us next week when we drink the V Squared. I'll have a lot to say about the Verdeo because I adore that wine. But God bless you all. You're the reason we do this, the reason that we're in business, and we can't thank you enough. So for now, until next week, enjoy your week, enjoy your evening, and tell your mothers that you love them and you appreciate everything you do or they've done for you. They'll appreciate it. So to Val, Cindy, and Annette, love you guys. And to my wife, who's an incredible mother, by the way. Love her too. Happy Mother's Day, and stay safe.